We really have a misunderstanding of the nature of OGUN.
Their mind automatically goes to war, violence, anger.
The one who bathes themselves in blood.
Which can be true, but as we know, many things can be true at one time. How do we advance in society? And that's where OGUN comes in. Even the tools that needing to clear the path, the tools needing to cultivate the land, as the physician, as the doctor, as the healer. Just very jovial as an agricultural daddy. OGUN does not like lazy people. OGUN is a true speaker. OGUN does not like liars. OGUN does not like thieves.
We tend to associate OGUN just with that masculine energy, and that was a real big mistake.
Now is the time when men have to earn that softness from us, and that's okay. Let them earn it. They need to earn it, and not take us for granted. And so, OGUN is that.
So there is the warrior side of OGUN, right?
Everything in life is balanced, so you have to have a balance of how you view things. War is not all bad. As a matter of fact, war is necessary when you're trying to achieve. If you're sending your Orisha on a battle to fight all of the time, that's what they're going to do. If you want your Orisha to go out and fight for you to have blessings, long life, prosperity, good relationship, like children, whatever, then those are the things that you need to spend your energy. I've never heard of any story of any Oduor that describes OGUN as a loser. OGUN will win it. There was a time when women were told they couldn't do OGUN initiation.
Totally.
Did you know that there are people that think the Underground Railroad and Harriet Tubman didn't exist? A news reporter showed a real-life Underground Railroad passage in the home of a New York abolitionist, and people are popping up saying that it's a myth. How would black people know how to build an intricate underground tunnel system? The Underground Railroad is not literally underground. It's a metaphor. Why would a stop on the Underground Railroad need to be so far up north? Because professional slave catchers had authority to grab slaves in free states and take them back down south. Then people started saying that since the Underground Railroad didn't exist, there's no way Harriet Tubman used it. Even though we have primary accounts of her work from newspapers and other abolitionists, she was so good at scouting, she was hired to be one by the U.S. government, which recorded her freeing over 700 slaves in one engagement. And we have distinct records that she did it because it took the U.S. 30 years to give her payment.
An interesting poll that I saw the other day, and I was shocked by this, is people in Africa generally have a more positive attitude towards artificial general intelligence than people in the Western world.
Yeah, because people in Africa had to deal with racism for a long time.
You see you, my man.
And that was man-made intelligence.
You see you, my man.
Try artificial.
Aha. Aha. Ngena lapho.
But I think
Eugene is the other half of my brain. You know when people are like your left brain, right brain, I'm like, Eugene. But it's true. No,
yes.
but it's exactly what you're saying,
yes.
Right? It's interesting how people who have assumed that the intelligence will be built around them and their histories and their pasts now think that that same technology will go on to do to them what they did to others.
Yeah.
But then the people who were only on like the receiving end in recent history of a thing go like, oh yeah.
Any change is good change.
They could be like, maybe this will work.
Yeah, because it also puts us in an equal footing. I look at wars the same.
Oh, damn, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, AI you don't know, I don't know. Let's see what this thing can do.
AI would be the white people of everyone.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Fagalana. Because that.
Hey.
You want?
I do. You noticed I was feeling a little
She wants a dip.
Support the preservation of a vital cultural tradition. Vodou faces erasure and misrepresentation in today's world. Your support ensures Vodou's future and cultural integrity. Help preserve this vital culture today. Support the
honor and respect, divine all blessed honor and respect. Greetings and salutations, one and all. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Vodou Day. The core mission of NOIVD exists to restore rightful dignity, authority, and global recognition to the Vodou, and Voodoo family of traditions. The mission, purpose, and motives behind New Orleans International Vodou Day, NOIVD, form a single, coherent vision to protect, unify, and elevate Vodou, and Voodoo as living world traditions with deep ancestral connection and spiritual authority. This mission frames NOIVD not as a festival, but as a cultural embassy for Vodou worldwide. NOIVD responds to the urgent needs of this moment, a time when Voodoo is simultaneously sought after while still misunderstood and misrepresented. Its purpose unfolds across several dimensions. NOIVD exists to protect the tradition from harm. NOIVD confronts misrepresentation in media, exploitation by uninitiated practitioners, cultural theft and commodification, historical trauma, and colonial narratives. By establishing standards of authenticity, NOIVD becomes a shield for the traditions and the communities that carry them. NOIVD serves as a platform for public teaching, ceremonial demonstrations, scholarly dialogue, youth and community education. And it ensures that what the world learns about Vodou comes from real practitioners, not stereotypes or outsiders. We continue to invite your support, participation, visitation, promotion of these events, donations, and sponsorship of this powerful legacy in expanding international endeavor. Please continue to visit us for connection and more information about participating, volunteering, and supporting our symposium, our Afro Ecology exhibit, and art exhibit on Saturday, May 23rd at Xavier University, and our sacred procession from the river to Congo Square, where we will be in ceremony on Sunday, May 24th. We are also thankful for your continued support and participation on all social media platforms. And for those who participate and support this podcast live in chat, and always in archive at your leisure and convenience. And do join us live now on platform with your mic, camera, or photo by way of the QR code in your upper left corner of your screen or the StreamYard URL now scrolling at the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen, depending on your orientation. And visit us at vodouday.org, VODOUDAY.org for more information, updates, and how you can assist and become a part of this powerful event. And tonight we continue our discussion on the power of OGUN. And thank you always to my beloved co-hosts and panelists for your continued support and commitment, dedication, and participation in this endeavor. We will be unmuting you momentarily. And so I am always grateful for our listenership, participants, and those who indeed do show up here with us in our live chat. Greetings to our community member here on the ground, as well as in the virtual space, Daniel Neal. Greetings and salutations to you and yours. Greetings, Ray Alexander, long-time committed, a member of our community. We certainly appreciate your continued support and participation, and we look forward to seeing you in May. Greetings to you, Love 1901. We enjoy your continued support and participation. And Jeff Austin, greetings and salutations to you. We certainly are grateful for your participation. Love my New Orleans indeed. And I will be unmuting our beloved Queen Mother Sister Bianca Johnson Plessy momentarily, initiated member of La Source Ancienne 4 and a committed committee member of NOIVD. My initiated godchild Tyson Allen Horn, second priest of my house, as well as an initiated member of La Source Ancienne 4, and our executive producer and director for Respect to Voodoo, as well as a committed team member, co-administrator of NOIVD. Our beloved Elder Reggie Greensoap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, also a committed co-administrator of NOIVD, community leader, community warrior, and we certainly appreciate all the energy that OGU and Elder Reggie bring to the platform. And certainly Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez, community mother, community activist, community resource person. Certainly we appreciate your continued support and participation. And our newest on-screen participant, Shahid Ali, we certainly send greetings and salutations to you and yours, and we appreciate your continued support. And everyone who's listening now by way of our Facebook pages, groups, and profiles, we invite your participation, either by way of the chat, type your questions and comments in the chat, or by way of the QR code in the top left corner of your screen, or by way of the URL scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And of course, we are grateful for our international, national, and local participants by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and always Instagram. Again, tonight we continue forward, never back. We continue forward in our conversation on OGU, the power, the mystery, the story of OGU, and certainly how OGU shows up in us, for us, around us, those who are participating tonight in our conversation, as well as our beloved panelists. And we want to pick up, particularly on a point we were covering towards the end of the podcast, the technological aspects and power of OGUN, the fire that breaks chains and builds futures. Children of the motherland, children of the diaspora, children of the forge, the drum, and the unbroken spirit, I greet you in the name of the ancestors who refuse to die, and the spirits who refuse to be forgotten. Today we call the name of OGUN, OGOU, OGU, and GU. Not as myth, not as a metaphor, but as the living fire that has carried our people from the red earth of Ouida, Benin, across the blood-stained waters of the Atlantic, through the plantations, the revolutions, the uprisings, and into this very moment here in New Orleans, the city where spirits walk openly and the people still remember who they are. OGUN is not polite. OGUN is not quiet. OGUN is not here to make anyone comfortable. OGUN is the blade that cuts the path, the iron that refuses to bend, the fire that says no more. And when the world tried to break us, OGUN sharpened our will. When the world tried to silence us, OGUN hammered our voices into weapons. And when the world tried to erase us, OGUN carried our names into history with iron. In Haiti, OGU did not whisper, he roared. He marched with the enslaved at Bois Cayman, igniting the only successful slave revolt in world history. He shattered the illusion of European invincibility and declared to the world, African people will never be property again. And in Brazil, in Cuba, in Suriname, in Trinidad, in Colombia, OGUN rose in every forge, every drum, every rebellion. He rose in the machete that cut cane and the machete that cut chains. And here in New Orleans, he rose in the blacksmiths, the laborers, the drummers, the warriors, the ones who built this city with their hands and defended it with their blood. Ogun is the spirit of the worker, the fighter, the innovator, the one who refuses to bow. No humbao. And now, in this age of machines, algorithms, and digital empires, Ogun rises again. Ogun technology is not new. Technology is simply the evolution of the forge. The microchip is the descendant of the anvil. The server is the descendant of the shrine. The network is the descendant of the crossroads. Ogun is the patron of the machete and the motherboard, the hammer and the hard drive, the battlefield and the digital frontier. And let the world hear this clearly. We are not entering the future. We are bringing the future with us. The diaspora is reconnecting. The motherland is rising. The spirits are moving at the speed of intention. And intention moves faster than any machine. This is the revolution, not of guns, but of memory, not of violence, but of vision, not of destruction, but of reconstruction. And as our beloved legendary Black philosopher and poet once said, the revolution will not be televised. We are rebuilding what was stolen. We are restoring what was scattered. We are reclaiming what was ours all along. And we celebrate NOIVD, New Orleans International Vodou Day. We declare to the world, we are not relics. We are architects. We are not survivors. We are strategists. We are not the past. We are the blueprint for the future. Ogun cleared the path for our ancestors. Ogun clears the path for us now. And Ogun will clear the path for every generation that follows. So as my beloved panelists and co-hosts, please begin to unmute and come into the conversation. The fire is lit. The road is open. The revolution is alive. Ayibobo, Ashe, Onile, Ogun. And once again, family, wherever you are tuning in from, Benin, Haiti, Brazil, Trinidad, Colombia, the Carolinas, right here in New Orleans, we welcome you always to the circle. Please do unmute and come on in, beloved Bianca Johnson-Plessy, Brother Tyson Allen Horn, please unmute and come on in. Elder Reggie Greensoap, please join the conversation. Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez, and our beloved Shahid Ali. Greetings, one and all. What say you and how you doing?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody out there in the listening audience and on the panel.
Powerful.
Anybody, Elder Reggie, would you like to speak on this subject?
Yeah, I'd like to set it up this way, please. But first, I'd like to, I respect the mystery of the Spirit divine, and I give him praise. That is Ogun. I usually say that prayer every morning when I go to my Ogun shrine. I usually give Ogun water and palm oil just to stay connected. But before I set that up, of course, I went to Wikipedia, if you will, and I just want to read one quick paragraph, then I'll speak. Wrought iron, because a lot of the work in old New Orleans was wrought iron, not cast iron. When you see all the beautiful sculptry and things like that, that's made from wrought iron. The use of wrought iron in Africa dates back thousands of years, with the ancient African civilization developing advanced ironworking techniques. The Nook culture of Nigeria, dating back 1000 BCE, is one of the earliest examples of African ironworking where iron was extracted and smelted using local source iron ore. This process allows societies to develop agriculture, defend against invaders, and expand their influence across the continent. With that being said, you could see the technology of Ogun dating way back then. For this technology to come of age in Nigeria, OGUN is being recognized as coming of age in Nigeria. You can see the correlation there. And they were some of the first people to take the iron and not only make tools, but to make, I would say, imagery and different coded signals with the metals. And that's what I wanted to open it up. Now we can open it up to everyone to bring in what they have to add.
Elder Reggie, and Divine Prince, I'd like to good evening, everybody. If you can hear me okay. I want you to elaborate a little bit more on how you feed OGON. Some of the different types you mentioned, palm oil and water, but is there any other practices that you know of or attribute? I know there are many, but you know, more the common ones that you could attribute to, so maybe some of the listeners and us on the panel can learn some more about just the proper way to approach and feed OGON to get the full blessings that we seek for.
Yeah. With the permission of Divine Prince, okay, say if I was going to war with someone, I would bring in a dog. I would offer a dog to OGON. So because I'm not at war with anyone, I'm more or less in a defensive posture. I feed OGON a ram once a year. And quarterly, I like to feed OGON a black rooster. But I'm always, whenever I could get them, cola nut, I like to feed OGON cola nut. Now that's on a maybe twice a month. But gin and also palm oil and water too. And then I can now bring in popcorn and some other generic stuff that I bring to OGON. But once I went through initiation, there's some certain foods and some certain medicines I do with OGON, but I'm not going to share this because there's people here that just may not be ready for that type of technology knowledge. But to answer your question, Brother Tyson, that's what it is. That's how I do my feedings.
And respectfully so, I know that, and I appreciate that because I know that there are, you know, there are things that the uninitiated, new practitioners and uninitiated should not be doing, and you know, because again, like, you know, you can do this research. Divine Prince always speaks on it. You could research the internet all day long and get a lot of information, but to properly practice and to properly do things in a way that is in according with spirit and according with traditions, you know, it's good to get with the elders like yourself and get the elders like Divine Prince and so forth to be properly initiated and be properly guided in those practices. But general things like water and some simple offerings out of a pure heart, those are the things that I'm just speaking on right now.
Yes, because now this comes a little bit out of the Lukumi system, but I received it in Nigeria, and they call it guerreros or the warriors, and that would be OGUN, that would be Ochosi, and that also comes with an Eshu or Osayin. And so you could get those without being initiated for a point of protection for your household. And when you receive the warriors, of course, you set them within your living room or close toward your front door. And you could give the warriors gin, you could give them water, and you could give them popcorn, things of that nature. And it's not being offense to no system, but that reclamation of giving them these items brings reciprocity in a form of protection from a multitude of Orishas, being Ochosi, OGUN, Osayin, and of course, Eshu is always there to open the, you know, to open the gates.
Ashe.
Every time I get off,
I agree. It's a slippery slope for me in terms of what I share, what I say, particularly in public spaces. As Elder Reggie suggested, people will hear things, read things, latch on to things, and run with it without any real clear understanding or even commitment, really, to the practice, to the tradition. We almost put our deities in the position of being slaves to the whims, needs, and the wants of random people who either don't share any ethno-cultural background or connection to the practice, which is a foundational point in my house, the alignment of ethno-cultural inheritance, lineage, and background with your present practice. But then there's those, who just operate, witchcraft, ego, arrogance. I can do what I want, take what I want, or I can do that, and then they pollute the information, dilute the demonstration, and certainly those who are seeking to follow and understand and observe, are led into confusion because of these demonstrations. So I don't quite go as specific and as deep as Elder Reggie may do, and certainly that's his right to do so, and particularly in a public space.
Yes.
But
Yes.
horseshoes and the usage of horseshoes in practice and tradition, whether it be root work, conjure, hoodoo, Black spiritualist church, or just the seeking to capture and contain ashe or look or goodwill, the usage and adaptation of metal objects like nails and other implements that can be adapted and utilized across systems or sometimes outside a specific practice and or path or tradition that would still evoke, the power, presence, and protection of OGOU. But much like Elder Reggie is not always comfortable talking about the medicinal applications of the herbs and the plants because of people's misuse and abuse of the law and medical information. I kind of take a similar approach often to Ebo, the sacrifices, the offerings. And indeed, those who are not initiated, those who are not practitioners, those who are not OGUNs, Mambos, priests, priestess, Bokuas, Babalaos, Ianifas, really should not be trying to just experiment and come into these practices on their own without some guidance and mentorship.
I see. Yeah, one other piece, please, Divine Prince. That was elegant with the way you put that. But what I like to say, yeah, we do offer the moon rituals, and at those rituals, we do put some of the demonstration into practice. So we are not just giving lip service over the air. We are true practitioners, and we put some of the practices that we do into play and demonstration at the moon ritual. But we're on a collective mission there to try to make change. We're employing these methodologies and technologies for the greater good of our community. And if you have the pleasure of coming to our live rituals, you'll get to see some demonstrations. But we ask you, leave it at that location. Don't go home and try to copycat what you see.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh, yes.
In Cloet Gardens stays in Cloet Gardens.
There you go, Divine Prince. Yes, yes.
Wow. Every time the show is over, it makes me have something else to go and research. So I went and researched like the ironworks in the wrought iron workings of our railings and such. Not just railings, and they are actually people who are studying the wrought iron in the city as if it were hieroglyphics.
Wow.
The same way they studied hieroglyphics, and I learned a lot, especially the Pontebello building, which you're familiar with if you've been a tourist here, because it's right by Jackson Square. Not only does it have the initials of the two families that created the couple that built the building, it has incorporated in, which I'm sure people who have wrought iron, who've had wrought iron, these two symbols that look like two capital G's back to back. And when they're on our porches, they're often near the ceiling because if you like me, you use that hook and that G to hang plants without having to put a nail in the wall, to hang your hanging baskets of ivy or whatever. Well, those two symbols are Adinkra symbols that mean to protect that building from burning down. From burning down. And they also have that on the two spears of the St. Louis Cathedral, the ironwork that sit on the two spears on the side. You can find a picture of it. You can see the Adinkra symbols in there actually protecting the church from fire, because fire was at one time a great danger to the French Quarter. So a lot of those wrought iron railings will have those G's in them. But people are actually studying and figuring out through the Adinkra symbols just what is in our ironwork. And also in Atlanta, the old cities of Atlanta also have some elaborate ironwork that is incorporated into, and they're going into the cemeteries looking for it also, because a lot of the above ground crypts have wrought iron fencing surrounding them. And they're figuring out, you know, what the symbols are and studying them. This is how important it was. And this is also giving us a greater knowledge of the extent that our people went, you know, and trying to communicate with each other. And let them know I'm here, where are you, you know, coded messages. And it lets you know just how intelligent we were, even though they said we couldn't read or write. You know, we used the drum, we used the iron, we used everything we could. We used songs, you know, to communicate with each other, the spoken word. But I found it very interesting how really the messages are written. Okay, let's say if one blacksmith did a whole block of wrought iron fencing on buildings on one side of the block, and it's 5 buildings long, he would incorporate a message that stretched like a sentence from house to house. A whole complete sentence did in symbols and wrought iron. You know, so it's very interesting for anybody in the audience that will want to, you know, learn more about the ironworks and the works of OGUN. And not just the wrought iron, but that was the big way to get messages out. But also to think about it, we couldn't tend our fields. We couldn't have the weapons that were needed also to because when guns broke, sometimes their ironworks broke on guns. They had to be repaired. I don't know if y'all remember in the original Roots, when they wanted to find out who the Night Riders was, and Tom was the blacksmith, he devised the system with the horseshoes and who they belonged to of identifying the rider of those horses, which of course got him in a hell of a lot of trouble. But just that he knew he could do that with iron. Where the symbols wouldn't change, the markings wouldn't get broken and confused, and they would always say the same because they were set in iron.
You know, that's an interesting connection you make too, in terms of how we've been programmed and taught to view intelligence, education, what smart is, what knowledge is, what wisdom is. You triggered a memory for me, and not so much a negative one, but you certainly triggered a memory. My father dropped out of school in the 6th grade. My father learned to read and write when I was in junior high school, but my father could count large numbers in his head without a computer. without a pen and paper. I mean, mortgage numbers, car note numbers. I mean, large numbers that many of us, even today, will require, if not pen and paper, a calculator to compute. And he could rattle those numbers off the top of his head. And I know it's also a product of ancestral inheritance because he was raised by his grandparents who were quote unquote uneducated sharecroppers, but had land, could grow and produce crops, could feed and produce somewhere upwards of 16 children. So how we've been taught to identify what intellect is, what intelligence is, what technology is. To try to survive without laborers with technological skills and abilities, without plumbers, without electricians, without carpenters. I don't care how smart you are, how educated you are. If you lack those skills, you're going to seek those out in the society, in the community. So you made a very important correlation.
My daddy, born in 1900, he couldn't read or write either, but he must have been related to your daddy because he was a human calculator and a master carpenter. He built a lot of the structures. The last structure he worked on in his old age was when they started the Superdome Foundation. That was his last job, working on building the frames and all that they needed to put the concrete in. The wooden frames that they put the concrete in so it could set and hold the wrought iron rebar that was in the inside in different columns that they used. And people have to remember, most of the people that came to America, not only the slaves, the ones they enslaved, they were uneducated. This country was literally built by Black and white people with no education. My dad didn't go to school. My mom went to 3rd grade because back in 1900s, girls didn't need no more schooling than that if they needed anything at all, but because they were supposed to be housewives. And that was, the man business to handle the business of the family. So she went to the 3rd grade, but when she came to New Orleans, there were groups that for adults to go to get more advanced education and for people that couldn't read and write, and that brought her up a little bit more. And both were very intelligent. So what society has taught us who is smart and who is uneducated and, illiterate means you can't read or write. It doesn't mean you're stupid or dumb. So go ahead, Queen.
No, I had a question because I knew that we was kind of running out of time and getting close to that time. I wanted to ask a quick question to see if maybe you guys may know, or the audience out there. When we talk about like OGUN and his sword, which how we talked about how the metal and the sword remind us in slavery a lot of things in life. And what I was thinking is that I was kind of putting it in a situation as like, when we all go through like things in our lives, like progress or anything in our lives, sometimes everything may not always be, peaches and cream or peaceful. Sometimes it may be tough. And I look at like, just like how you guys were saying, like the sword and the machete is representing that sometimes we may have to cut through that path, like cut through the forest to clear that pathway to be able to see a result or something positive at the end. So when we're talking about like OGUN and the machete in today's world, like modern time, how can we be able, like I look at the machete as a GPS and like how people need a GPS to find their way through something. So it's almost like when we having things that's going on in our life, we're looking for something to navigate us through that. So how can we be able to use that machete as a GPS tool? Like how can we ignite that machete as a GPS tool to navigate like a compass through things in our lives.
Please, could I take a bite of the apple? Okay, what
Yeah.
I would add, if you want to use it as a GPS, there's a such thing called cord cutting. With a machete, with a knife, now they're symbolic. So let's say if you take the machete, you do your prayers, you pour a liquid onto the machete itself, but then you symbolically cut through the air. You cutting away things. You're acting OGUN to remove obstacles, to cut. That way, I would see you using it as a technology, as a GPS to move through the times of 2026, what we're living in now. And I would say cord cutting, because a lot of us have cords and attachments in and around our aura that we don't see. And it's like having that cast iron ball on your ankle. And sometimes it has to be cut away. That must be my 2 cents on that.
The machete was always my least favorite farm instrument because you have to have strength, and I had to cut sugarcane and also cut my way through foliage to get actually to the bayou to get on the water. And to me, that was hard work as a child. I worked hard as a child, and that machete will hurt your hand. It will strengthen your back. It will make you have a new respect. And, you know, that was one of my least favorite. I'd rather the hoe and the shovel over the machete. I really did. Even though they both was made of iron, that machete works you and takes a lot out of you. You have to be strong. And you can start off strong. I mean, it's great exercise. I need to pick up one now. It's great
I think
exercise.
there also might be a way to view, you know, depending on the lineage, the practice, the botanical stores you've been in, you may have also seen implements, particularly dedicated to OGOU, that kind of give the appearance of satellites or antennas that will often have tools, not just, you know, the machete and the knives and the anvil and the hammers, but other tools, ladders, nails. Many of the Masonic tools and symbolism are sometimes contained within these pots. And so we also exist, much like Sister Tony just said, between the veils, between the dimensional spaces. We live and exist, and this is quantum metaphysically documentable, that we coexist, that we live interdimensionally, intra-dimensionally, in more than one reality simultaneously often. And certainly that can be influenced by thought, belief, what we understand, what we can see, if you will. So there are indeed tools, implements, even when we consider some crystal and certain crystal formations that sort of operate and act like amplifiers and antennas and receivers and transmitters. So it is embedded, the technology and the science in association with the technology is embedded throughout the traditions, throughout the practices. And they just show up in varying ways. I think I responded to a question in the chat about what is a unifying factor or symbol across the diaspora. And indeed, it is iron. But again, we tend to limit our focus and our understanding of iron on just the machete or just the anvil and hammer or on just the cauldron pot, and don't really understand or consider the full ramifications of technology and the application of metals, tools, and technology in our advancement as human beings on the physical, animal, carnal level, but also on the spiritual level and in the higher octaves. And certainly we will continue this conversation on tomorrow night. Did somebody want to say something?
Yes. Peace, greetings, everyone. Yes, it's that I'm grateful with all this knowledge. It goes very deep. And they say, iron sharpens iron, and so, and we have in in our blood, we have iron flowing through us. So, going our shade. So it's like you have all of this. The way you look at it, it's within everything. It's within the ether. It's in our mind and our hearts. It's within our relationships and our bonds. And no, I'm learning. But I have a question, because with war and how they're using technology, and they're using bombs unjustly and killing innocent people. There's repercussions in that, right? And they're using that, the power of the iron and the power of all of that. They're using it for wickedness.
Yes, certainly repercussions in that. Mostly we used iron to move forward, to help feed ourselves in our fields, and to pull our wagons to transport goods and trains and stuff. And the use of iron to make weapons of war, especially when it's not in self-defense. As an invader, I do believe they will suffer serious consequences for that. Serious consequences for the misuse of iron and the horrible way they use iron. But we're gonna have to pick this up tomorrow. Because we're running out of time. I want to turn it over to the Divine Prince, who will in turn turn it over to Elder Reggie.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
And I just want to add to that, and not just iron, other minerals. Our creation of bombs and technology that can indeed wipe humanity off the planet. So we say, the word is a two-edged sword. The use of technology is a two-edged sword. And we will continue our conversation on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a platform near you, or by way of our QR code in the upper left corner of your screen, or by way of the scrolling URL, which I will replace at the bottom or in top of the screen momentarily. And again, thank you always to those who show up with us live here in chat on platform. Greetings, beloved Jeff Austin, again, an initiated member of the Source Ancient Unfor. We certainly appreciated seeing you and your participation here with us tonight. We are certainly thankful for all of you who checked in and participated by way of all of our Facebook pages, groups, and profiles. We indeed can see you. We can see your numbers, if nothing else. We certainly appreciate our local, national, and international listenership and participants by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and certainly and always Instagram. We appreciate Rip the Knee, Emmerich, for joining us this evening. Greetings and salutations. Mommy Stugold joined us tonight. We certainly appreciate you. Jenny Hendricks, 83. Greetings and salutations to you and yours. Our beloved Apostle Hudson One, thank you for continuing to support and participate. Priestess Miriam, greetings and salutations to the Priestess Miriam at the Voodoo Spiritual Temple. We are certainly grateful for your attendance, support, and participation on tonight. And please do come out and support Priestess Miriam. She will be a part of the procession and the ceremony on May 24th at Congo Square on our third annual International Vodou Day. Greetings, Brown Skin Mocha. We certainly appreciate your attendance and support. Bride-11, greetings to you and yours, beloved. Thank you so much, longtime listener and supporter. Liz05, greetings to you and yours. Thank you for coming through. Megalodon Boo, we certainly appreciate you and yours. Thank you for your support. Vontizi, greetings and salutations. Thank you for supporting us and coming through. Real Estates by Kiva joined us. Greetings to you and yours. Strong Queen C, we certainly appreciate you. And yes, Apostle Hudson, we're counting the days down, and there's still so much work to do. So indeed, if you are coming and you wish to support us, volunteer, participate, send us a communication well ahead of time, and we'll get you plugged in before you show up in the city that weekend for the event. And again, we continue to invite your support, participation, donation, sponsorship, support of our GoFundMe by visiting us at www.vodouday.org, www.vodouday.org. You can also view live and an archived podcast directly from our website. And I will now turn the mic over to Elder Reggie to share his closing thoughts and words to close us out. Truly, all is a blessing. Ayibobo.
Thank you so much, Divine Prince. Advertisement, please. GoFundMe, NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We need you to go to GoFundMe /Prince #hair #12 February. Our next new moon ritual ceremony and ritual application is June 14, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Location 710 Clewitt Street. A ritual spiritual warfare ceremonial gathering. It occurs with the moon in Gemini, projecting the energetic tone, airy, communicative, mentally active, crossroads energy, new ideas, new conversations. New pathways are opening. We invite your participation as we continue to fight the wicked system and the powers that be. I say on that. But before I read, lest we forget, Sister Tony and Divine Prince triggered a memory in me with tonight's conversation. And I'm thinking of the Civil War. A lot of the southern cities was burned down to the ground, but New Orleans did not get burned to the ground. So please visit New Orleans. When you come, just don't think about the food or the adult beverages. Look at some of the architecture. As Sister Tony spoke of the ironwork, the Pontalba buildings, and we have many buildings that was built in that era still standing. And they are true treasures. So please, when you come, try to make it out and look at some of the standing buildings. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. With that, I say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you all. We truly do. And we'll be back tomorrow night.
Good night in Odabo.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.
Absolutely, these practices are and can be used as a form of self-defense. And all of them, Christianity, Islam, can be absolutely used as a form of self-defense. Again, our traditions seem to be more egregious to some people because they don't follow the sort of political turn the other cheek. Be so more forgiving. Humble yourself that mainstream world religions have sort of demonstrated. Certainly during enslavement, there would have been a need for retributive magic, abuse, splitting up the family. You know, there would have been reason for, need for, and a motivation, a righteous motivation to do so. There's defensive magic for that. But it's not the same thing as I'm targeting my coworkers to do harm. Whatever we send out comes back. So often the best people are not going to do retributive magic under any circumstances. they're not always clear as to how clean their slate is, how much of their own karma is going to get caught up in. So the best of people are not even going there.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the table, strip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise." Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.